Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. We're going to be diving into the idea of people first leadership and how to do that in a world full of shiny objects. But before I get to all the questions that I've got for you, can you give everybody a quick introduction?
Yeah, thank you, Emma. Thank you for having me. Hello to everybody out there. Kartik Sakthivel. I serve as the Vice President and Global Chief Information Officer for LIMRA and LOMA, the world's largest and oldest nonprofit trade association for the insurance industry, by the industry, for the industry.
Well, I'm excited to have you with me today. And I guess I want to get started with just what I teased there a moment ago. So, from the work that you're doing, and I'd love for you to share a little bit more of like kind of the different groups you've been working with in this capacity. But from the work that you're doing, what are you seeing now that we've had this big swath of AI enter the world and start to kind of change roadmaps and visioning and all sorts of things in terms of leadership?
Yeah, thank you, Emma. And what's interesting is AI within insurance across the insurance value chain is not new, right? AI has been around for a good long while, albeit in certain specific domains. Across financial services, tongue in cheek, our industry operates in silos better than any other industry, right? So, in fact, we've been doing AI in underwriting, for example, in marketing and actuarial for a long time. And I call it the traditional, the quote, OG AI, right? So machine learning and the like. And what's been interesting is it wasn't until Q1 2023 when it seemed like things just exploded, right? And I can attribute it back to ChatGPT and OpenAI that captured hearts and minds for everybody. And there are a few reasons which I think it's important for us to understand what they are. So despite AI being in place for a while across financial services, the generative AI revolution, ChatGPT, in my opinion, truly democratized artificial intelligence for the masses, right? So as a consumer, you don't have to be a data scientist, right? You don't need to know machine learning. You don't need to know analytics. You can effectively go to ChatGPT, OpenAI, create an account, and you're off to the races. So that's number one. Number two, ease of access and easy to use, right? So ChatGPT, create an account, download it. It's portable. You can use it on your computer. You can use it on your mobile phone. And that portability certainly allowed it to experience the massive growth that it did. And number three, it's free, right? The adage goes, if it's free, it's for me. It just allowed people an opportunity to interact with AI like they've never interacted before. And last but not least, my personal theory, anything that arises and takes root in our personal lives as consumers and then permeates over into our professional lives has a lot more staying power than the reverse, right? Which is why none of us are using Blackberries anymore. So the age of AI has been thrust into the corporate lexicon and the spotlight due to the ChatGPT revolution. And again, it's allowed CIOs, my peer community across the industry, to truly get, I wouldn't say a 360 perspective, but at least a 320 perspective of all AI activities that were in place across their organizations. LIMRA and LOMA, in response to how AI has exploded, we formed the Artificial Intelligence Governance Group. It's a lot more than governance. It's an industry consortia of business and technology senior executives, and we've been operating in two phases. Phase one concluded in June, and that resulted with an industry survey, a market scan, essentially a finger on the pulse of where the industry was as of Q3 with all things AI. Those three papers are available for public consumption, right? We were extremely forceful about making sure that this is not behind a paywall. You don't have to be a LIMRA or LOMA member to be able to consume our research. So those three papers are out there, limra.com, Trending Insights, Artificial Intelligence, limra.com, Trending Insights, Artificial Intelligence for you to consume. We have now pivoted over into phase two. Look, in the absence of regulation, where regulatory frameworks exist, they're very specific to functions of the value chain. So in the absence of regulation, what we're doing is defining what good looks like, right? Trying to understand AI best practices. We're developing cost-benefit analyses. We're developing ROI frameworks, which are a little bit different for AI than others. We're looking at creating a framework that organizations can employ to identify jobs in the value chain that are most subject to change due to AI, and then develop a strategy for you to upskill and reskill individuals. So exciting journey, right, between governance and business value, which is use cases. I commend the senior executives. We've got 103 senior executives on this cross-company consortium at this point.
So, I mean, my first question, first thought, that's exciting to see that there is this group that's coming together and working collaboratively to figure out how do we lead towards the future. I love to hear things about like identifying where we have jobs that are most likely to change, making sure that we have paths to help upskill. All of those things are really great. But one of the biggest challenges that I see across the board inside the insurance industry and out is this propensity to like chase the idea of being AI first and chase these shiny objects. And so, how do we make people first leadership and people first policies as exciting as chasing shiny objects?
Yeah, great question. So a couple of things, right? Number one, I think leaders, regardless of where you are in the corporate hierarchy, you need to be clear about the fact that things will change. The age of AI is here, and this era of technological change will be different from every other technological change that has preceded it. Emma, we're not too far removed from the fact that, 100 years ago in 1924, less than 40% of American households had access to electricity, right? Here we are 100 years later in terms of technological growth, looking to electrify our automobile fleets. 1903, the Wright brothers took flight, invented flight. It took 66 years from the Wright brothers inventing flight to humans putting boots on the moon, right? The men who walked on the moon had parents who rode horses to school, right? And here we are so addicted to all things email. It was less than 30 years ago that each of us sent and received our first email. The point I'm making is technological change and growth has been accelerating over the past 100 years, and AI is going to supercharge that acceleration. And look, we can focus on, as you described it, the shiny objects, right? And my opinion, I think AI is the shiniest of them. There are some bedrock things that we need to do while pursuing success with AI, but it results in change, right? And as the adage goes, people want change, but no one wants to change. And AI will result in change, absolutely, right? If there are rote, repeatable operational tasks that you perform at work, those are more than likely to be automated by virtue of AI over the next 3 to 5 years. Second, my opinion, generative AI is going to yield business process changes across the value chain, right? So as soon as you tell people that things are going to be changing as part of your job, those antibodies come out, right? There is the resistance to change. I mean, gosh, humans resisted the invention of the fork, right? And we can't be modern day Luddites when it comes to all things artificial intelligence. So if you build it, they might not come. So I think it's very important for leaders to be quite sensitive about the associated changes that are going to be yielded as a result of technology. Look, we've gone through this for the past 10 to 15 years, right? So if you go back in time, say 15 years ago, the mantra across the industry was mobile first, mobile first, mobile first. We have to be mobile first, right? Then that transitioned into we have to be digital first, we have to be digital first, give the omni-channel approach. Then that transitioned into we need to be data first, right? And we need to be a data-driven organization. My point is, organizations can say they want to be AI first, but quite simply, AI is just another tool, just another technology. It's a hyper intelligent technology, hyper intelligent tool. But at the end of the day, if your strategies aren't predicated and grounded on being people first, you're not going to be able to achieve success in any of these other facets.
So, when we look at this idea of people first leadership, what does that actually look like in practice to you? Who are the leaders that are doing this, and what are they doing so far that you've seen that's really clicking?
Yeah, I think it's important for leaders to keep in mind, right, as you're shepherding strategically your AI implementations and your AI programs across your value chain, right? Because AI will not be successful if we relegate ourselves to our traditional corporate silos. As you're doing that, it's important for you to keep in mind, right? AI is not just technology for technology's sake. There are people on the other side of it, whether it's your employees or whether it's your end customer. So taking that people-centric approach is going to be of paramount importance. Consider it this way, right? As you're helping your employees, as you're helping them navigate through the age of AI, number one, just make it about them, right? So if you think about what I said earlier, where 10, 20, 30% of your job might be subject to be augmented, right, due to AI, how do you get them to think differently about their own job? I'll give you an example, right? So, when I talked about change and things changing, Emma, what's interesting is people perceive that AI will disrupt jobs, right, and employment. And we have been very clear with this AI industry consortia to the industry that, at least for the next many, many years, AI is not an FTE replacement or reduction play. It is an augmentation play, right? You are going to augment and benefit the lives of your employees. So how do you get your employees to think differently about that? And I'll give you a very simple example. We're considering the disruption of some rote repeatable operational jobs. If I would have told you in 2007 that someday you're going to have a device called an iPhone, and on this device you're going to have a game of birds and pigs called Angry Birds, and that Angry Birds game is going to be a $19 billion franchise in 2024, you would have had me institutionalized, right? So we can't even envision what jobs, what magical and mystical jobs and industries AI is going to generate. So that's number one. Number two, I think it's important for us to inspire in our talent, in our employees. Look, if you could save 20% of your day, what would you do with that 20%? How do you upskill yourself to be able to reallocate and redeploy that 20%, right? So, as an example, within the insurance industry, let's think about call centers. I think call centers are a great example, right? There are carriers out in your neck of the woods, Emma, that have a 134% attrition rate for their call centers, which means you can't hire employees and keep them long enough for your metrics to catch up, right? And why is that? For anybody, whether it's life, whether it's annuities, whether it's PNC, if you've ever been to a call center or a claim center, it's a tough job, right? No one's calling your call center to say, "Hey, Emma, how's your day going today?" Right? They're calling you with, usually in dire straits and dire circumstances, right? So, as a call center rep, you're expected to represent your brand, your organizational brand. Two, establish empathy with your customer. Three, make sure that you're providing fast food levels turnaround with white glove service, right? Be also on the front lines of intercepting insurance fraud, for example. And then you probably have 17 different computers with 85 different systems that aren't integrated and they don't talk to each other, right? So it actually looks like the bad game. That is a tough spot to be in. How do you get these individuals to think about those functions as a career, as an entry point into your organizations, and not as a job? So imagine deploying AI, generative AI, or any kind of AI to help them augment 20% of their job and free up that 20% capacity. And in our industry, put them through LOMA customer service, right? Associate the ACS program. And look, we're a nonprofit or organization that's intended to professionally develop the entire industry. Help your employees become better students of the game. Invest in LOMA FLMI level one, matriculate them all the way to the FLMI, the crown jewel of industry designations. That is how you can continue establishing a career, a talent pipeline into your organization while investing in your employee. Your employees' resumes should look better when they leave your organization than they did coming in. And AI and that people first ideology is a way to be able to accomplish that.
Thank you so much for joining me for the conversation and sharing a little bit more about what you and the consortium are doing to really get us focused and headed in the right direction of adopting AI while still having this people first mentality in mind. If anybody isn't already connected with you on LinkedIn, I would encourage them to make their way to do so and learn a little bit more about you, the work that you're doing, and the events that you guys have going on moving forward. But thank you again for joining me and for everybody for watching, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you, Emma. Emma, can I add one thing for our leaders out there?
Yes.
Look, AI is going to automate a bunch of things, right? You know what AI is never going to be able to automate? Leadership, right? Communication, collaboration, integrity, values, ethics, morality, all of the stuff that makes us, the soft skills. My guidance to leaders out there is, if you want to shepherd your organizations to find success with AI, double, triple down on your soft skills development, be better human beings, and I promise you, you will find success with all things AI.
Perfect way to end. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. If you like what you saw, be sure to come back on a weekly basis and subscribe for more expert interviews focused on digital transformation, change management, and emerging technologies.